Great.
Hello. So I spent a decent chunk of this morning procrastinating by rearranging my bookshelves. And one of the interesting things that I noticed while doing this was that I could rearrange my bookshelves. And that sounds silly, but when you've got full bookshelves, it's actually really hard to move things around, right? Because you can't just move a book from point A to point B. You need to take the books that were in point B and move them to point C or move them back to point A. And so, like, there's just very little flexibility in the system to actually move things around. And now I've got probably about I'm probably not at like quite 50% utilization of my bookshelves. I think I probably am using about 60 to 70% of the space on the bookshelves, closer to 60. But the result is that like most shelves on the in the bookcases have empty space in them. And so everything it's both like the thing that I was talking about moving, where like when you're moving a book, you can move it into an empty space. You don't have to swap it with existing books, which is already quite a lot of flexibility. But it also means that you don't have to get everything exactly right because um, there's nothing that like you're allowed wasted space. You're allowed to use half a bookshelf filing I don't know, the James C. Scott and David Graeber collection of books, which only really takes up half a shelf. And then maybe you've got some books that fit in with them, maybe you don't. And but either way, it's fine. It's because you've got the waste, no, the capacity to waste. You don't have to essentially go, okay, now what am I going to use that remaining like space for 4 or 5 books for? Um, and the result is that for possibly the first time ever in my life, it actually makes sort of sense to organize the books by theme. Like, generally speaking, I've done some clustering of books, but mostly it's just been in a fairly arbitrary order that happens to be the order in which books fit on my shelves. Uh, Partly because the uh, I lost the train of thought there. Okay, so what I was going to say is that like partly because there are also other big constraints. Like it's not just a question of horizontal space for books, right? It's also some books are really tall, and so you have to put them on the tall shelf, and so you've got all of these arbitrary constraints that when you are very tightly fitting your books to the available bookshelf space, um, essentially destroy any sense of order that you might want to impose on it, and it just feels massively not worth the effort. And um, Sorry, I got distracted by a little insect going. Is that a clothes moth? I hope it's not a clothes moth, but it's not a clothes moth. Uh, Returning to my train of thought. Sorry, I'm clearly a bit out of it today. Um, yeah, so the effort of rearranging your bookshelves is so much higher that um, it doesn't feel worth it because like the quality is bounded and the effort is high. But having this extra space and this extra flexibility is making me suddenly go, oh, actually, I can put things together. I can like make proactive use of the space to change what it supports, change how things are laid out. And this is really important because um, the way I put it is like there's a really tight feedback loop between the arrangement of my bookshelves and the way the things I'm able to think about, because a lot of the point of having a physical library as a sort of external memory for things that I half remember or know about and have read, and so that I like when I want to think about a particular topic, I can go reach for a book on it. A trivial example of this is just that I'm reading more of my unread collection now that the bookshelves are sort of positioned in such a way as to surface the unread collection. So many books that I wouldn't have previously read, wouldn't have thought about, are now getting read. Although I'm not doing a huge amount of reading at the moment just because I'm tired and kind of out of it. But more of the unread stuff than I would have been previously. But also, like, by clustering this together, I can go, I'm having a sort of, I don't know, phenomenology shaped thought, or ethnography of work shaped thought. And I can go look at the collection of stuff there, and I can sort of browse around the dozen books or so I happen to have on the subject rather than having them scattered all over the place. And this means that the book collection works as a much greater aid to thinking. And so having the extra shelf space feels like it's not just allowing me to visually organize the books better. It feels like I'm being given much more freedom and flexibility to use my book collection as an aid to thinking. That was all very chaotic, unlike my book collection, which is now much better ordered. Still fairly chaotic. But that's all I've got to say for today. Bye for now, and I will see you in the next video.